My microphone is not working.
I was fine. Taylor this morning. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is anyone here from the assessor's office? We don't have any exonerations ordered to come That's okay, so. There are vouchers and invoices. Motion to approve.
To approve. Unless you have any questions, Don.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. I asked Ruth about the $17,485.14 that went to Humane Society, and that's a monthly charge, not a 2-month charge for payroll.
It varies by month, so that's right.
Is it based on vouchering or them like asking for reimbursement, or it's the timing, so they're just not asking you monthly or?
They send it monthly most of the time.
Okay,
And then this going down to Thompson and Litton for New Haven PSD, is that just part of the money that we had already? Thank you. Those were my 2 questions. Thanks. So I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Amy sent me a bunch of meeting minutes, but due to my phone difficulties in working on them, MOUs and these, I have not had a chance to review them yet, so we'll have to. postpone
Except
that.
for the January 21st that I
Just
have
needs to
no
be
idea.
signed. We had approved, we had issues with that file and you finally got it back to me, but I hadn't printed it for the folder.
Okay,
So
so
it's ready to go.
didn't we already approve them then?
You didn't approve them yet because it was still the wrong file, but you got them back to me, the correct ones. We just haven't presented them officially with the right ones in the meeting.
Okay, you guys want to take a look at them? Here's a short one. This is when we had when the Upper Canal Valley, when we met, so they could come in and present their request again.
Okay.
And then Parks and Recs Board wanted to hold a special meeting, and asked our permission to do that, and then Gabe presented the gig ready stuff to us. And then we approved the letter to elected officials about the budget. That's what happened in that meeting. You guys want to look at the minutes?
Yeah.
I know.
I make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Did we say that at the same time, Tom?
Yeah.
As long as I can. Okay, so we'll do the rest of the minutes, or at least as many as I can get through. On the, when's the next meeting, 8?
Yes.
Any estate settlements, other than the thing we have on the docket already?
Cool.
Okay.
That's always a good one. Not to have.
Okay. Let's go ahead and we've all seen the primary election report because we were in the canvas. Are there any concerns about this present? Thank you for the large print.
Yeah.
Made it easier
I
to
deeply
read.
appreciate
One
that.
of the things that we were,
That report, that's the state. Thanks, Secretary of State.
oh, the state did this? Has it done its thing yet? Secretary of State? When does he certify the election, do you know?
After we all do.
Okay,
After every county.
There are no statewide races this time. So.
what is this canvas precinct audit verification
I
for?
don't think
Is
so.
that the hand count?
Is that where we drew the?
Yeah, y'all were
Numbers and
supposed to
stuff.
sign it that day. I
Oh,
think Amy just went to reprint
how come only mine and John's names are on here?
because of it. Look on, is there nothing on the back? Well, because y'all were the only 2 there.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. Ah, good thinking.
My brain's working better than I thought.
Mine is- And mine isn't.
It should have found it.
You don't want us to sign two different sheets, do you?
No.
Was it?
Yeah, I gotta.
That was at the end of
Where's the 20 sewer 20?
their certification.
I was getting ready to sign mine, and I said, wait, why should we sign two different sheets?
That will have to go to the Secretary of State as well.
Well, Ruth needs to get a copy of it.
Yeah, sure.
Or do we just need to, can we just sign the other one and give it to Ruth? Be done with it?
No.
They signed it.
No, I mean, she can.
I mean, if you just want to sign two, it
That's
doesn't
fine.
matter.
The lawyer, I mean, does not like this idea.
There, I just did real
The
scribbly.
lawyer and her said she just.
The lawyer
That's
and me would
fine.
rather have a copy of that one and
Okay,
not two originals, one original.
This is the certification.
Okay, so I move that we certify the Fayette County election results.
second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anthony, can Tom sign this since he wasn't there?
The certification?
Yeah,
I think you can.
okay.
Yeah, because he just read it.
Yes.
Okay.
He just read the results and
Okay.
I mean, the purpose of canvas was to determine whether or not to accept the question ballot.
Right.
Today we're still certifying.
Just checking,
But I think we should-
It's a lawyer in you.
just checking, just making sure.
You love us, don't you?
Mhm. He does, he likes how much we talk. Never,
Not
ever,
today.
ever. Okay, Ruth, we have a couple minutes.
Okay,
And
so the first one is the recreational trails program grant. Is Abby on the call?
Is this the one that she applied for and we already approved?
Yeah, it's soft surface trails. It's $300,000 grant with a $60,000 match.
I don't remember hearing anything about
She's on there if you want.
something that has $60,000 match.
That was part of the first proposal when I spoke to you guys. It's an 80-20 match. You requested that I go to the park board meeting and ask about their priorities and to make sure that they approve this, and they do, and they would love to see the trails. But yes, there is a matching component to this grant.
Is there a different one that we heard recently that had no match?
There was the earmark request that I put in
Okay,
over a month ago.
okay, that's what I'm thinking of. What's the deadline on the grant, Abby?
The official deadline is the end of June, but my impending maternity leave is hoping me to just get this done sooner than later, but you would have more time and we could submit it. Everything else is ready to submit.
What are your all's thoughts?
Well, we can choose either one or choose whatever. It won't hurt to do it.
I just, a match would come out of the ARPA money, right?
No, not necessarily, because winter severance will reallocate the park budget depending on hotel motel type.
But even if we get the grant, we do not have to follow
Accept
through with it. We
Well,
don't have
no.
to accept it, so.
Okay, well, let's go
So
ahead
there's
and
not- I don't think there's a real obligation there.
no harm in applying for it, other than if we apply again, they'll be like, well, they're not serious because they didn't take it when they got it.
I think we can make it work.
Okay. I guess the question is, can now that can is resolved, but it should because of the amount of money and the other priorities in the county, I guess is what I'm.
Well, that would be up to you. I can just tell you we can. Should is yours. That's all on you.
What are your thoughts, Trail?
We don't have to accept it if we get it.
Let's go ahead and apply for it, but I definitely want to have, I guess we're gonna have to have a discussion about. So, anyway, so we can start getting it out. Yeah. Okay. So I move we go ahead and apply for the grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, it's 9:15, so we'll go ahead and do the next.
should the header say resolution? That was my question.
Oh,
So this is.
It shouldn't say resolution.
why does it, I'm wondering why it's worded. John's right, I didn't really pay attention.
Even on the one you
Why are we
signed.
adopting a resolution? No, I know, I signed the same one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I should have caught that too.
We usually do sign a resolution. We resolve it.
man, this is the safest place in the county
Well,
today.
the way it's worded, it's saying if it's approved, we will take the money. So let's reword it. I mean, we've already voted to apply, but we need to reword it so it doesn't obligate us
You want to
anymore.
check with her to see if we're allowed to reword it.
Yeah, we'll check with Abby. If we can't reword it, like if that's the requirements of the grant, how it's worded.
Well, first of all, that's not a complete sentence. If approved, will used funding for said program. So it needs. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so you're seeing the same things I saw.
Well, shit, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you
Well,
say
maybe
something before?
is
the-
it saying that or is
voted on
it
it?
saying that's what we'll use the funding for?
Okay, so,
We need to
yeah, I want to back that one up until we can take a look at it later today. Let's readdress it before we end the meeting. We don't have to back it up unless we can get another draft down here before the end of the meeting.
Okay. Did you hear that, Abby?
I didn't know what that meant.
You you had your head turned this way and I couldn't read.
Just elbow me or something.
I don't want to hit you.
She's.
Oh,
Abby's
I
shouldn't
on
can
they
there.
touch you?
understand your fear.
Alice,
Oh,
you
shouldn't they touch
wanna
you?
tell her Abby's on there now.
Abby, why is this worded as a resolution?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Why is it why is it a resolution and why is it worded? It's worded as if we will absolutely accept it if approved, like we're conditionally approving it. Because
True, you can
Yeah,
always, if we are awarded the grant, we can always turn the grant down. The DOH or DOT rather requests a resolution to commit the funds, but that's only if we accept the grant award.
What about if approved and accepted? You could put
Yeah, and accepted, and then fix that sentence, will you? Because it says if approved, will used funding. Okay, maybe,
I can make that change right now.
okay,
And if it's a resolution, does it have to go?
Sometimes we do make sure.
we need to have, but we need to figure out how we're going to do things. to be consistent in the
Well, I think
future.
every grant's different.
Abby, if you print it out down here, we'll pick it up.
I will do that. So if approved, we will commit. Okay,
And then fix that sentence. That doesn't make sense. I think you would say the commission will use. Rather than it just says if approved, will used Need to read that.
Okay, I will print that downstairs.
Thank you. We'll grab it. All right. Lisa Garrett probate issue discovered with Mary Elizabeth Burnside Estate. So is Lisa here?
She is not, although I believe the lady is here with the probate. Is she here? Oh.
What is the?
So-
I think I know what this is.
Correct. They found a newer will that changed changed one of the beneficiaries. Added one, took one off. Anyway, they would like that will to be admitted into the probate process because of issues with financing the house that is currently part of the will.
What's the nature of it? Do we know the nature of the change? So it just added a beneficiary, or did somebody get replaced,
It
or?
added someone. I believe it added a daughter. Is this you, ma'am? Sorry, if you want to come up here with a microphone.
Come on up and help us understand what's going on. Okay, what's your name?
Mary Bailey.
Are you the executrix for the state?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That was my mother's.
sorry.
It's okay. She's happy now. She's with my dad.
I've been there, girl. So tell us what's going on.
Basically, when I came to do the probate, there was 2 wills and I didn't know which one to use. And the one I handed was an old one. So when that one went through and we went to the lawyer's office to get the deed put into my husband's name for the mortgage company, when I handed him the will, I told him again, I didn't know which one it was that she had taken and probated. And he said, well, this is the one that you're supposed to have, and I'll check into it. And when he called me back, he said, you probated the old one instead of the current one.
Who's the lawyer?
Fast.
And was he your mom's lawyer, your parents' lawyer?
No, theirs have already passed.
He hadn't written the, no, I meant who had, so Tom was the one who advised you that you guys had probated the wrong will?
Yes.
And who was the, do you know which lawyer did the wills for them, or did the same lawyer do both wills?
No, one was Hamilton Mooney, the one that I probated, and then the other one was Mr.
Carl, and
Harris.
then it was more
Yes.
current, the
Yes,
second one.
yes,
And was your mom competent when she
yes,
executed that will?
yes. She tended to be a pack rat. She saved everything.
Okay, but she was able to make decisions for herself?
Yes,
To date?
yes.
Does anybody, to your knowledge, in the estate object to the new
No,
will?
no, my husband and I have been paying the mortgage ever since she passed. And my daughter, who was on the current will, listed as a beneficiary, said that if she needed to sign anything, she could, so that we could take it over.
Okay, Anthony, do you have any questions?
How was the decision made initially as to which will was to be recorded?
I brought them both into Lisa Garrett and told her I didn't know which one she needed because there were 2 of them. She looked through them, and I guess in meaning to hand me back the old one, she's handing me back the current one because she said, this is the one that we need to keep. And I'm going to hand this one back to you. And she put them both in her one hand and moved something, and then she handed me the other one. So I guess she just handed me the
Think it was
wrong
an
one
accident?
back. Yeah.
Is that your understanding too?
Yeah.
I'm talking to Lisa.
So I think we should treat this as an oral motion on the part of the executrix to set aside the prior administration of the estate and to proceed with the administration of the estate under the new will, the newer will. And then I can do an order.
All right. Did you get all that, Michelle? So I move that we approve the motion to set aside the old will, the incorrect, and the one that wasn't current,
A second.
and probate the current and proper will. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming in, and we're sorry for your loss.
Hey, Ruth, I want to give you this because it's got a lot of legal information on it and you can shred it. I don't want to have that in my possession. Yeah, sure, yeah.
I put all of my stuff in here.
We can go to number 3 on Ruth
Um,
or exhibit.
Number 2.
Oh, yeah, number 2, it's real quick.
Ruth, you ready?
That's the record rotation letter and you edited
Mhm.
it. And it needs to go
Everybody
on the
thinks it's-
911, right?
It's that one.
911 letterhead.
That's where we,
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Nook Pro Tuck, which means it's retroactively effective May 4th. We didn't want to cause the Manleys to lose any business after coming into compliance with the record rotation or the Public Service Commission's requirements. I saw the proof personally. I was at the 911 center coincidentally at the time. They sent the proof in, and so I checked with my colleagues and we went ahead and decided to get them back on the rotation and authorize this publicly retrospectively. And so I move that we approve this. It doesn't have a signature. Do you have like a letter that has a?
We'll
I
get,
think they
I'll put the
stamped them.
signature line on it. I wasn't sure who would be signing it.
The
Okay,
last one went out for 911, so it would be, last one was Kevin. Would that be
it
Joe?
would be Joe. Yeah,
I think it's just to put it in the minutes.
okay, so we're just putting it in the minutes.
Yeah.
We don't have to approve this.
No, we've already done it.
Okay, well, just to be clear, but we should vote on the record that, we agree with that decision. So,
Yeah.
so I approve of this action. I move that the commission approve it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So that letter to the municipalities, would you like to wait on that or you
Yeah.
want to do that now? Okay.
Cypress.
All
Debbie
right,
Cypress, there you go.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
It's another grant time. This one is the Supreme Court Courthouse Security Grant. It's non-matching. We're in desperate need of some upgrades to technology, most of which are duress alarms. It's the little buttons under your
Mhm.
table right there.
Do I have one?
It might be on
It's
John's
beside
side.
John.
Is it?
2016, so they're like 6 years old.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of technology through KTS, that's who operates them. They're averaging just under 16,000 to replace the whole courthouse.
The whole complex.
Yes, the whole complex. the-
Prosecutor's
The
office, everything.
computers and servers for it. Also currently, the annex buildings cameras, the internet that they run off of is
Mhm.
hit or miss. It comes, it goes. Again, the 2016 when they were put in, so they're 6 years old too. Replacing the servers and the switches to get those back up and running. That's another 15 for all of that included. And then metal detectors, if you know, both circuit courts, metal detectors are inoperable, they don't work. And the magistrate court has requested one. Those collectively would be 17,631. KTS also has the ability to order, they call it state-of-the-art metal detectors that can identify where and what it is. You got a pocket knife, it'll say pocket knife, front right pocket.
Like a little fork.
Yep. So the least expensive of the metal detectors and all the other switches and monitors and cameras and duress ones will be asking Supreme Court for 60,877. That's including KTS's labor. With the more advanced metal detectors, that total would be 83,746. I just got that invoice as we were sitting here doing business. I'll be able to print those off later today and give you copies of those. Today, just asking for opportunity to submit this grant, to apply for it, and also for your signature, Ms. Taylor, outside of the meeting when the application is actually finished.
The next meeting, he'll be in trial, so
Yeah, we have a major
you can
2-week
sign
trial upstairs.
Yeah.
in the meeting if you want. I can just get the copy and you can sign it then if you want, but he wouldn't be the question.
And commissioners, I'll let you know, in 2016, we received a grant, same thing, over $80-some thousand for all the equipment we have now. I called down to Supreme Court, Ruth and I were talking, because some of the cameras went out, and stuff. And I talked to the security guy, I said, Mike, I'm sorry, it's running late, but next week it came out. This is one of these things where it's got to be done quick, but they have a deadline so soon, but no cost to the county if we can get it, but try to keep everything up to par and stuff work for us.
How long did it take last time
It was,
to get it
it was
approved?
like, oh, you get the
To
grant
get it
back?
approved, yeah.
It didn't take no time back. And
Really?
I'll call down there and I do our part on that, but actually the commission is the one that's doing the grant.
Right.
We just did it, because we deal with it all the time, that's the way they do it now. But there'll be a letter from the chief judge, master chief, self officer, Mike had to go around and do some stuff like that, but it's a good chance we'll get it, man. I just put it that way.
Okay, well, listen, if you don't, or if it's taking too long on the things that are failing, come back to us and let us know what that.
That's what we was going to
Yeah.
plan on doing. When we found this out, I told her, listen, hold on, see what we get, don't, and that way.
Okay. All right, so I move that once I get the letter that I'm able to sign it on behalf of the commission to apply for this grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at 9:30. Get ready. So, good news for Commissioner Pena, to whom this letter was addressed, Secretary Carmichael's office. We were, we think, awarded, along with Nicholas County, the town of Ansted, and the city of Montgomery, a gig ready technical assistance, at least grant or some assistance for broadband. We put in for this earlier this year, and a lot of weird stuff. Okay. And very excited that we got their attention. On behalf of the commission, I met with Secretary Carmichael's office and asked that they consider, the commissioners had a meeting, attended a meeting with commissioners from several other counties and municipalities where we discussed regional broadband and trying to put in a request to get the attention of the Economic Development Office, and we apparently did. So now we have to form a committee of 3 to 5 members. We asked the city of Montgomery who it wanted to appoint, and it has an IT person, Mayor Ingram, would like to be on this committee. It has to have 3 to 5 people. I've reached out to Nicholas County twice by email, but I haven't sent them my usual, where's my response text to them yet. So I can do that. Mayor Primore is here to let us know who's going to represent Ansted on that committee, and then we, the commission, need to decide who we want to represent the commission. For the 5th slot, I recommend we engage Region 4, either John Tuggle or whoever he designates, since it covers this whole area and has done a lot of work on broadband already. Mayor Primore, do you have a name for us?
I'm waiting for the total discussion.
Okay.
I have a couple of people in mind. I have been between one.
I think we're going to need to have answers sooner than later. They didn't put a deadline on when we have to get it into them, but they're going to reach out to us at some point, and they're going to want to know who these people are. As a heads up, I talked to, hold on. Also, they haven't determined if the grant will be awarded yet, but once they get us together, thank you. You've got Region 4 on the line, it appears. Here's what we do know about deadlines. We have no guarantee we're going to get an award, but I know Jeff Proctor, who's on the Broadband Council, spoke with someone in Secretary Carmichael's office, and they picked all of us because we all have something going on or something in the area, and they think that we could work together to figure out a plan. I think at least for the Route 60 area is what it sounded like. And they had 29 applicants or something, or maybe more than that, but they had a ton of applicants and not a lot of money, but it sounds like we have their attention if we can respond quickly. The commitment is the key. When he asked what the time commitment would be, because I reached out to Jeff because he's on the Broadband Council to ask if he would be interested in representing Fayette County. He's not, because he's busy with the URA and the Broadband Council, but is weekly meetings. So whoever you sign up should be prepared
That's
for
kind of what I was waiting to hear.
weekly meetings, from what I understand. So it's not something that, it's not they are going to drive this process. The Economic Development Office is going to drive this process, but the time commitment is going to be substantial.
Majority of those meetings in the past have been able to be done through telephone. So it saves you a lot of time and travel.
Yeah. So
I would imagine you better.
Zoom or whatever. Amy, will you unmute Leslie and Amanda? Hey guys, Leslie and Amanda, can your office provide somebody on this committee for us?
Hi, good morning, commissioners. This is Amanda.
Good morning.
We can absolutely, so we're going to be involved with the project already, just to kind of be of assistance to the state. So I don't know that we would need to be on the executive committee that you select, but we will be involved with the process to help guide you through it and help make sure that everything moves smoothly through the project.
I would feel better if you were part of the committee, frankly, because then you would be at all the meetings and be in the loop about things.
Right, absolutely. So we will be included on all of the meetings as well.
So you will attend the meetings whether or not you're part of the committee.
Correct. Yeah, because we'll be of assistance to the entire applicants with this project as well as the state.
Okay, so you guys have, and this could be anybody, it doesn't have to necessarily be a county employee. I mean, and one thing that Jeff mentioned too, like Montgomery and between Montgomery and Region 4, we have broadband experts on the committee. Mayor, one of the things you might want to consider, given the growth we expect in your area, is somebody who is wise on economic development and what's going on over there, because that's an area of expertise that's going to affect where we prioritize putting in broadband after we come together, because not everybody's, is going to be phased in. And I know that this commission has prioritized, 19 and Route 60 in those areas. So for, all infrastructure, not just broadband. So, and there are some restrictions about whether you get 25 megabits per second or not. Do you get that in Anstead? You have those speeds?
Up or down? Up or down?
Down, I think.
Down.
Yeah,
Okay,
Anthony's saying yes.
So technically Anstead itself wouldn't qualify, but the areas adjacent would, like because I think that you can't, if you already have those speeds, that it has to be to get it to you, then you'll be able to then increase your speeds or something like that is the benefit from what Jeff was explaining to me. But you might think in terms of, people, what you expect is going to happen in the growth or any annexing or anything you're planning to do over there, that might factor into this is what I'm thinking. And as far as our person, I thought Angela might be a good person, or somebody who understood money, although Ruth is very busy. Do you have any recommendations?
somebody that's familiar with it in general.
Well, I also considered Philip at 911 because he understands all the, comms tech and stuff like that, but I know this is his busy season with the storms and things. Yeah, it's weekly. I don't know if he has the bandwidth, pun intended, to be able to do it.
Every week, for how long is this process? Every week.
I don't know. They didn't
Whoever it is,
say.
it's somebody that you want to be able to make decisions on your behalf.
Well, I don't think they can make decisions on our behalf. We can't even make decisions on our behalf. independently.
Really need to get this turned in as soon as possible. too.
Yeah, I agree. You want to be on
I would be,
it? You would be on it or you want to be on
I think one of us needs. to
You
be
think one of us
involved.
should be on
I
it?
think one of us should be involved, and if that's, especially Route 60, I'm a big promoter of Route 60 on my
Okay.
team.
it? That works for me. Does it work for you?
Do.
Okay, and so we have Montgomery's. I need to reach back out to Somersville. We have Region 4. Can you get us a name? It's gonna be you. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it
Mayor
would be.
Pridemore. And then we'll get Nicholas County. So I move that we approve the names that I just mentioned and Region 4, obviously, and whoever Nicholas County submits to represent it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have a name? for this kind of stuff?
In an email, I do.
Okay.
It's the IT guy who's been setting up their
Thomas.
broadband. What is his name?
Thomas
Last name.
Baker
Just go fill it out.
at Montgomery. He is a guru and a half on getting everything connected up.
Okay, so who did you put names? Tom, Steve,
Steve, Thomas Baker out of Montgomery, Region 4, and Angela's a broadband expert there. What's Angela's last name?
Amanda's gone.
Where's Angela's last name?
Amanda's gone.
Amanda, oh my God, why am I saying it? Because I had Angela in my head.
It's Amanda.
Sorry, Amanda.
No,
Last
no
name's
problem
Smart.
at all. And if it would be of any help, we'd be happy to reach out to the Nicholas County Commission to gather their name and then provide the fully completed document to the state to get this implementation kickoff meeting started.
I will let you know if I need that because I'm going to text them first to see if they answer.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll reach out to Nicholas County, but I wrote them down here. Go with. You might want to fill out one that I haven't scribbled on, but.
I was gonna say with me handwriting.
Our official one, yeah, that would not be me. All right, so got that one. We don't have our next, do you need a break?
Yes. please.
Okay, let's take a break until 5, what time is it? Yeah, until 5 to 10,
Yeah, we only got a few more weeks. right?
yeah.
And then we'll need Angela for this next part.
Yeah, so 9:55.
See, Mayor, if you keep coming to the things, we're gonna keep putting you on different committees.
Well, that's what I came for, is to kind of figure out what component we needed to provide.
I feel like Jeff's right. A about economic development. I feel like he mentioned somebody who understands, finances and mentioned economic development. And I mean, you're more cued into everything,
Well, yeah.
integral to everything that's going on over
And I
there.
hate to turn it, not fully invested in that portion of it.
Yeah.
And weekly meetings, like my IT guy that I would be using, I talked to him the other day. I said, how much time do you have? He said, none. I'm going to be next 3 months in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well, that rules you out real quick.
Yeah.
So, I was, that's what I really wanted to know is where we think to make up where the investment it would be. So I'll, set aside.
What did you say you
I would have.
So I have
Yeah.
I'm concerned more about the homework.
with Region 4.
Yeah, me too. Well, they're supposed to be
Okay.
providing all the engineers. and-
Yeah, Alan,
Okay.
what's it about?
We have to adopt a new building
The
code.
email.
Oh, okay, yeah, that should be Alan then.
Selected.
And, but we don't have this, this board. So you guys are gonna have to create that board.
I thought we had a board of appeals.
19, no, we have board of zoning appeals. This is building appeals.
It's very discombobulated.
But you'll be sending him up at 9.
I mean, and it's goofy.
Because he doesn't do Zoom.
Yeah, send him up. right now.
Okay, he's got someone in, but as soon as.
Oh, and,
So it's
Can I
more
access
about,
it?
they're getting ready to
Right.
start
so it's
the
more about,
roads and
I
utilities
guess, the county.
beside Lowe's
And then they
very
put
soon.
this county in there, like,
He called me
I
yesterday and
just,
talked to me.
Didn't make any logical sense, like, are we talking? Route
But they still haven't closed on
16,
that property.
Where are we talking? So,
Obviously.
No,
it's coming
I mean, they have-
forward or
yeah.
something.
No, I don't believe so.
19.
And then I got a
yeah,
Which
text from your significant other.
I know.
So I told him that he's gonna have to get on the,
I'm
agenda.
hopefully gonna calm him down. He's
This
just
is
mad.
texted them right
We
now.
have to cover
Maybe they don't
dogs
read their email like Luis's doesn't,
when we're
but
not home because.
They're pretty good.
Some fence
they're
tied.
pretty good
You
at
found that out too.
Yeah.
So he doesn't like coordinates.
I know,
It's
and-
time to calm him down and be like.
and I said, I talked to Angela and I thought everything was taken care of.
Well, he just doesn't like coordinates.
I was
because he's
gonna
afraid
suggest
we have our
having
neighbors that'll.
Tiny
come
and
in
the
every
mailings
time
for
we
that,
talk.
so I can keep them
Okay,
moving on.
but anyway.
But yeah, that's fine.
I'll tell
I'll
him
text
other
him,
things.
I'll talk all this evening and
I
say,
sent him a text.
you gotta fill out all the paperwork to get on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll talk to him this evening. I'm hoping.
Part.
he'll say,
Bad part.
nothing you can do about it.
He
He's hot.
responded to me as I came in.
Oh, no. He
We-
saw
we've
you.
had-
Remember it?
We've had no comments other than him that I'm aware of,
That's what I told him. I said, this,
So-
it's just a neighbor, it's a neighbor dispute.
yeah.
That's what I'll send him up here,
As soon as he's done with that.
All right, well, I'm out of here.
Thank you, brother. Have a good
thanks for
day.
coming.
I wanted to kind of get a feel for where it was, all we needed.
And then,
See if they answer me first, then I'll get back to region.
the
4.
18th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see you before then, because I'm gonna try to get some information from you. So that while I'm doing, some like historical stuff about the town.
Building code, which is item 5 on exhibit A. Do we have a building commission? Like that's an appeals board, but you have to have a group that makes a decision before it can be appealed. Do we even have that? So we don't have any of that.
No,
The Board of Appeals, if somebody, if I come to your house and say you're doing this wrong, you want to appeal it,
Mhm.
they come to a board. It's luckily, we've never had to go to the board. I had one when I first started, but all them passed on board members. So I've been trying to get this for the past few years now. and Our commission requires it, so I've been enrolled to be able to have one. If somebody wants to have a legitimate complaint, then
So they have to be certified contractors or certified, they have to know what they're doing, basically.
they have to know what they're doing. 10 years experience, all of which is responsible in charge of work. It gets kind of tough.
Alan was,
find
oh, I'm sorry.
qualified people
Yeah,
here. And a
How-
lot of guys that, you try to get somebody that's independent. All these guys work.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to, in my opinion, come up with somebody that
That's objective.
that's objective.
I never put anything out away,
yeah, that was my question.
requesting.
I'm not sure if that's the.
I think we should advertise, we should just advertise on our site like you're suggesting and ask for people to step up. I mean, I know we have,
I believe there's people out there.
Maybe talk.
and there may be people who are retired who are willing to serve on it.
Like I always kind of thought we should do it, somebody that's been in it and understands what the building codes are. You
Right.
can be a plumber, mechanical guy, not a one of them has a code book, so how do they know? If I'm stopping them from doing their work
Right.
because they're not abiding by the code. Well, I don't need them on the board. You need somebody that's got knowledge of it. That's to be done. Now, I don't know if there's that many retired guys around that would be willing to do
No,
that.
I probably know a bunch of them that probably do that.
Okay, well,
Can
can we advertise it? For at least a week, maybe a couple weeks, and then if everybody would, I know you know a lot of people in construction or in construction yourself, so if you can. When I read this, I was thinking Dan Hill would be a good person for this board, but.
We really need a architect and engineer to somebody that
Yeah. That's gonna be the,
it's just hard to find guys.
yeah.
I mean, I've asked a bunch of them.
And they have to live in this county, correct? Okay.
How
All right,
often, like realistically, how often would they meet?
Only if there's an
Never have
appeal.
to-
You have to have a
Only
first
when-
meeting for, set the president, vice president, the organization
Officers, right.
itself, officers do it, but you don't meet unless you have a problem.
Right.
I was thinking of that. Weren't they looking to-
Mm-hmm. Yep. But again, he talking about the objectivity. I don't know about
If you
that.
put it out, I got some guys come down and carry out. I've known that can construct
Put it out and see what we come up with.
All righty. All right. Let's advertise. All right, so we'll advertise it. Try to get you aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the registration letter for the .gov domain. What happened with this?
They
What-
sent it back to us saying that they had changed the way the letter was and they needed some different information. So we've updated it. I've been back and forth with them a couple of times to make sure that what I filled in is correct for them, and they said yes, that this is correct and up to date. We just need a new signature and a currently dated letter.
What did they say the turnaround time was going to be? Have you put any pressure on them since they sat
Not
on
yet.
our?
Well, once I sent that back to them, I was gonna, since I now have 2 contacts there,
Mhm.
I was gonna ask that once I got the letter back to them. They were a little bit vague to start with, so I did have to kind of go back and forth with them. I'm not sure if they have turnaround.
Would you set something in your calendar for a month from now? So maybe the first July meeting
Yes.
for us to send a new letter to them if we haven't heard from them asking what the status is.
So once this gets set up, are we all gonna get
Yes.
county email addresses?
Yes, I mean, to me, it's critical for us to be able to respond to FOIA requests responsibly,
Oh, I.
any of that. And, of course, we know the FOIA terrorist came in and questioned the fact that 2 or 3 commissioners didn't have a .gov email address. And if they knew what we went through to get a .gov email address at this point, she would probably have understood why we would be doing that full time and not commissioning. So, but Yeah, I think we all need those, and we need to have rules, and we need to have retention regulations and policies and that sort of thing. And also we need to have our own, have this attached to our website. So yeah, that's the goal. But
It's a good goal.
yeah, it's just so political. So VeriSign is in charge of this. I used to live in Reston, Virginia, by the way, for almost 12 years. This is where it is. I will hunt them down and show up on their stairs if we don't hear something before long.
I've got an update scheduled for the 13th. That's the first meeting in July.
Okay. If you haven't heard from them by then or had any positive movement, have us a letter ready, please.
Will do.
Okay. I move that we approve this letter, once again requesting our Fayette County, West Virginia.gov domain.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Tip off.
So, New River Humane Society, come on up. But we're not expecting, we held a special meeting because we wanted to give you guys time. We want to get this before the fiscal year. But we have finally come up with draft MOU and a draft lease agreement. Basically, we just like you to take to your board and have them review. And then we would like an answer by June 7th because we're having a meeting on June 8th. And so, anything that they want to, I would say, see if you convene them sooner than later and have them take a look or email it to them and get comments or whatever you need to do. But we'd like an answer by June 7th and about. Oh, you're gonna give them? Yes. Okay.
All right.
You guys need more than one copy because I have copies of these electronically. You can have my copy too. All right. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. But that's it. If you could just get us an answer back by the 7th. We're pretty firm on some of the additions there, but the board's going to need, there's some flexibility. So the board just needs to discuss it. And
What is the last copy that you have? Because we couldn't find one since
2015.
That's the copy that we have.
Yeah.
So, it's very, very much.
Very
outdated.
old.
I'm sure a lot of things have changed on both sides.
I think so too. And I think from our part, our changes are based upon feedback from the citizens that we get. So that's why we are recommending the changes that we're recommending. So you guys will just have to take a look and see what's realistic and what isn't.
Is there a way that we can speak to you all again and say, if there's just something like misunderstanding, like from different perspectives, because even though you're getting them from your citizens, we also have feedback from our end of things that we don't think will be covered too.
Well, you could definitely get back to us. But the things on the citizens, basically, our intent was to put some provisions in place so those complaints could be vetted properly and there wouldn't be a he said, she said. So it was less of a, we believe them and we're trying to, take some extraordinary action. It's more like, how do we document this? So that way, when there's a complaint that, we can back it up with data.
Sure.
Okay, so that's really the approach we took. So.
We had another matter that we needed to attend to as well. As far as animal control goes and taking into the vet, how has that been done in the past? Because right now we're incurring a lot of the cost that we feel could wait for a normal appointment rather than an emergency appointment.
Okay, so the issue is emergency versus normal, regular appointment.
Biggest thing.
I guess here's the thing. So from my thought, because this kid, but I didn't know all the facts, because I heard about this too. The animal control brought it to us recently. My concern is there's a liability factor, especially if it's somebody's pet, right? That so my Lizzie Pete gets hit by a car or something, or maybe not hit by a car, but something less extreme. And the animal control officer has her and believes that she's hurt enough to go to the vet and takes her to the vet. If she doesn't take her to the vet, then the liability is going to be hers in the counties. If she bases it on your word, we're still going to be held liable if the dog is still in her possession. So I would say, talk to whoever, talk to your board and talk to your lawyer and figure out, come up with a suggestion that would keep the county from being liable and that would take that decision, if you guys want input on it, then, we need to not be liable for your decisions. you know
Was
what I
this
mean?
an owned animal, though? Wouldn't it be the owner's responsibility?
Ultimately,
I
yes,
mean, that's-
if the owner wanted it back. But at the same time, if that decision was made and the owner, I'm not talking about the financial responsibility. I'm talking about, say, an extreme case, you guys said, don't take the animal, it's not that serious, and then the animal died. Then we're talking about a problem, because our animal control officer could say, well, in my discretion, I thought we should take it to the vet, and they told me not to. I don't want to get in a situation like that. That's
Right. On the other side of things, though, what we look at is the cost that the owner is going to have to pay to reclaim that animal. We don't want to have to make decisions that are costly for them that they can't afford.
We agree with that.
Versus
Yeah.
something that could be done instead that's not as costly. So it's that aspect as well, but also aftercare. If that owner never comes back to reclaim its animal, we have to take care of that animal after the fact. And if it's something that should require an out of shelter foster or something, we don't have very many of those available to house or take care of a very sickly, rehabilitated animal. So we have to take all of that into consideration, especially if all of our fosters are in use.
Do you have any ideas about how it should work? Like what would make it work better?
I'm not real sure, and I've talked to Fayette Vet and asked their opinion on things, and it's really difficult situation. But the only thing that we have talked about and come up with is maybe if animal control could have their own emergency fund. For that way that they see who's liable, that they actually get their liability covered with their account. And then if the animal has to come to us, then we can cover those costs after the fact. That's way it's not bothering anybody in the middle of the night or anything like that.
Well, it technically does have that fund because in all the adoption, so we found out by looking at the code that the commission is supposed to be setting the fees for adoptions and stuff. Now, of course, we would do that based on recommendations of what it's costing. You know what I mean? We have no idea. But then that money is supposed to come back into a dog and kennel fund.
That's what we did just last.
Yeah, and so I was like, what? And apparently we haven't received anything for that fund since last July.
I didn't realize anything about it
Yeah.
until.
We read it
Same.
yesterday.
Same. So they're just things that we need to shore up process wise, but I mean, that's a good suggestion that we could consider. And if they're using their discretion, then it would come out of that fund probably, but
Right.
I think that we need to work with the vet too, because it sounds, if Fayette Vet is getting all of our business, I feel like we should negotiate something with Fayette Vet that we don't get charged an emergency charge for something like that. I mean, that they charge us regular rates.
I know. I don't know exactly how the prices are set, but I'd say a lot of it's just having to pull, because it has to be a doctor to make some of those decisions. So I'd say a lot of that is having to pull a doctor out of their home after hours and stuff. But
would you guys be willing to get with Michelle and maybe meet with Fayette Vet and see if there is?
we thought that's what this meeting was gonna be, honestly.
No, we were really more focused on getting the MOU and the lease in place because like you mentioned, it hasn't been done since 2015 and there's all this, confusion about who should do what and,
Yeah, especially like the
and who's-
county, the grass.
right, exactly.
potholes, everything like that.
Exactly. So, we can work those things out. I mean, you need to take that to the board and come up with some suggestions and get back to us. But my recommendation, if I were in your shoes, is I would get with our animal control officer and meet with the Fayette Vet people since they're getting the bulk of our business. And just say, like, what can you do? Because we're having issues, what do you recommend as the experts on animals,
Right, well, I think,
Because I really wouldn't-
too is some of the animals that are getting brought in as owner surrenders. We have a wait list in place when we get too full. And we can only have so many animals before it gets inhumane. So when animal control is bringing in owner surrenders, in place of our wait list, that's not the people that have called to get put on that wait list down to the bottom. And then, I mean, that's just not really fair. So we need to have some
Well,
sort
and
of
maybe
standard on that as well.
come up with a policy about accepting owner surrenders, even if they bring them to you, that they may have to be on the wait list.
We've talked about it a couple weeks
Yeah,
now,
okay,
and
good.
we're still getting owner surrenders.
Yeah,
at this
I'm
point.
sure.
The idea that you said about meeting, like as far as animal control and the vets, that's pretty much, we've already done as much as we can on that. That's why we were trying to get past that, you know what I'm saying? But we were trying to take the next step. We
Well,
spoke with Grizzly and spoke. with
surely the vet understands that, you know, we as lay people who aren't vets, even those of you who know a lot about animals, understand that, you know, making a call about, you know, whether a dog needs emergency care or not is probably above our pay grade, you
But
know?
I don't think it's about needing emergency care. I think it's proper paperwork. I think, like, you know, the he said, she said thing, I think this is where that part of that comes into play.
Severity.
Yes.
Opinions of severity, I guess, is where a lot of it comes in, because the vet only gets their side of things over the phone from what they're getting told. And then when that animal shows up and it's not as severe as what necessarily they're getting told, or something that could wait, that pulls them out of their house as well.
Who was your contact at the vet?
I've been speaking with Dr. Katie Faulkner.
Okay, I
the
know
most,
Katie.
But I've also spoke with Holly Whitbread. I think she's an office manager.
And I also spoke with the Kill vet, which they said they did not want to be involved, but they were taking an animal this past weekend, actually 2 animals. They were taken out of a home that somebody owned,
Mhm.
and they were called because the dogs were fighting. And they went into the home and they removed the animals, but the owner had the impression that she could still get them back.
After
Even though
going
she-
to the vet.
And it incurred like $1,500 worth of vet bills, and a couple of those, some of that was boarding and ER emergency visits,
Mhm.
but they still did not get operated on until Monday.
Afternoon.
Okay.
And the animals did have injuries, you know, but it was things that could have waited. And they said that animal control was melodramatic, you know. And that was the vet coming to me, not knowing any of the situation that we were going through. That was them approaching me. But they
So I
said they
wonder
didn't-
if the vet would provide some training to our animal control folks about, you know, how to assess or something like that. Or if there's any, do you guys know, I mean, what do you do to learn this stuff? I mean, is there training out there that the humane societies offer that we might be able to provide?
I think a lot of it's common sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about me. I mean, my dog has a drop of blood and I'm rushing to the vet, you know, I mean.
Washing off the blood just to see what the actual injury is would help. So
Well,
having
but-
a way to, even just taking it to the shelter and washing it there, we have vaccines.
Well, we have two, I mean, so we have, you know, we have, as you know, only one on at a time, and we have 2 to cover 600 something square miles of Fayette County. So I don't think that having them go bathe the dogs to see,
Well, or microchip. I mean, they bring dogs to us that are microchipped and we're calling, you know, we're
they
taking.
have a new
micro-
microchip reader.
but They do.
Okay.
You know, we're still getting dogs microchipped. We're calling the owners. Owners are fussing at us because we've already vaccinated them possibly. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or the fees of, you know, reclaiming.
Well, I still think, as I suggested, I think in a prior meeting, that if possible, it would make sense to, for the 5-day period, we have to hold them for the owners to reclaim. If we can quarantine them in some way and not vaccinate them, that would probably be the more ideal
We don't have the
situation.
space for that. We're so.
Can I
full
say something about
of quarantine dogs.
And kennel cough has been going on.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's Kathy.
Okay, hey Kathy.
Hey, I just wanted to speak up in regards to that suggestion of quarantining a new stray animal and waiting to vaccinate. There are many, I guess, universities and veterinarian protocols or shelter protocols actually that do not support that. A vaccination upon intake is highly recommended, just to, and even if we had a facility that had the capacity to have a separate quarantining area, which we obviously do not. It really is not suggested. We, back in the 2016, we had a gentleman from Virginia Tech, a veterinarian from Virginia Tech, come and visit us. We were having a really huge outbreak of pan-luke with our cats in our cat building, and also parvo was running rampant as well. And we were revamping our standard operating procedures, and I think we had already had that in place, but it was stressed highly to continue that, that there shouldn't be any reason, unless the animal is just not able to be handled safely, for employees or individuals. It was just, it's any shelter or whatnot, it's always standard practice. I mean, I would say for the majority, it's standard practice to vaccinate upon intake.
How much do the vaccinations cost?
So,
I mean, if you
charge versus how much.
How much do we pay for them?
It's like $10 or $15. I have it listed, but I don't have that with me. I don't have it exactly.
So it's fairly nominal, the cost of the vaccine itself. So I feel like there's got to be some wiggle room
But
on.
that's just the actual vaccines. That doesn't include the wormer and the flea meds and stuff like that, and extra meds if they have to have meds when they come in and stuff too. That's specifically just DAPP and Bordetella.
But is it?
Well, yeah, rabies is separate. It's $15. Well, no, I don't know how much it is on how much we pay for it.
So just say it's your average dog that comes in. What does that dog, if it doesn't have any apparent illness or whatever, what would you do to that dog?
One that's going to be reclaimed or one that's going to be a stray?
Typically, we look for a microchip first, and if it's microchip, we try to find if it's registered. If we can't find that it's registered, then we start with the process of doing the vaccinations. It'll get DAPP, Bordetella, either Panacur or Strongyl, which is our dewormers, and then it'll either get Capstar, Parastar, or Simparica because it's a stronger flea med. Generally, we do with the Parastar or the Capstar because they're a cheaper, less potent version to do the same thing. But if it comes in with obvious flea infestation, it gets something a little stronger.
Let me ask you this. Do you have any idea how much it costs to microchip animals? I'm just curious.
Not with the local vets, I don't.
I'm just wondering. I was just thinking kind of if there was a place, and I'm throwing it out there, just thinking out loud, but if it would help to have some sort of ordinance or some sort of program where we, even if we funded like microchipping or for pets or something, or did, for low income or something like that. I'm just trying to think of a way or a requirement to have ID on the tag, which I know they come off because mine come off when they play.
Microchips move too, so they're more effective probably than a tag that can get knocked off or broke off or somehow like that. But they do move. They can move down into the leg and stuff too. So generally you scan the back of the neck area, but they can move to the bottom of the leg or something like that too. So unless you're actually like scanning a good bit, sometimes microchips can get missed as well, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, will you guys take to the board and discuss and consider whether there's a program or an ordinance or something the commission could do? Because we could, just like you guys pushed the leash law or the, tethering outside and all that stuff through, we may, with registration or something, we may be able to require, at least they have an ID tag, which would, not that, well, enforcing it would be a pain too, but I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a way that we might be able to help you with that problem from here.
Right. I can, the board would highly be in support of microchipping pets for sure, but I do not know of any municipality or county or anything like that that has something like that in effect, honestly though.
Well, whether we mandate it or whether we facilitate it is a question, because anytime you try to require something, then you have to consider the enforcement side. But that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a program or something to, provide this sort of thing.
Like a vaccination clinic, but for microchips, is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah.
And the thing is too, is.
Something, do you guys
people follow
microchip the
up.
dogs that are adopted?
No, not all the time.
It depends on what rescue we send them to. If we send them to a rescue that, prefers it, and there's one rescue that actually provides
Sends them.
them, yeah. But, some of the dogs that we can.
Y'all microchip them?
That
Just for that
rescue
certain rescue.
specifically prefers vet to do it or a veterinarian.
Yeah, a
But,
vet has to do it. We don't do it.
um,
But also with, we had a dog that came in that was microchipped, but not, his information wasn't in. So it's people following up with the information.
Yeah,
They
put
might
their
not do that.
information in helps too, because we have one in there. Radar, he was just brought in a little bit ago, a couple days or something, and he's got a chip, but it's not registered.
I'm just wondering, I mean, I don't think we could do it for people who weren't low income, but I'm just wondering if there were a program we could come up with for something like that.
Just maybe make it more, tell the public that it's more accessible than they think and show the benefits of it.
And advertise it and let them know the benefits and let them know you're not going to incur, if you put this, money, John Googled and found $50.
$50 for microchip.
I don't know if that includes the vet fee or if somebody's trained to do it, if we could do it for cheaper, if we did in bulk, we could do it for cheaper, but I'm wondering, if you put this up front, then, you're saving yourself a ton of money and potential vet bills if your pet gets out down the road. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but if you guys, you guys are the experts on that stuff. If you guys could take it to your board and just try to come up with some ideas, at least I'm open to hearing ideas about how we can try to address some of this up front. If you have repeat offenders, we might want to, if you have dogs like my dog who gets out all the time, I just happen to usually be there when she does and I can chase her for an hour. But if you have, dogs that you see regularly, we might want to start a program down there.
I'll be on the
We
settles.
did at one point, I remember there was one specific that comes quite a bit, just in the short time I've been there. But he hasn't been coming around lately, so I'm not sure what happened to him. But we do have occasionally repeat offenders, if you actually remember that dog, because sometimes they're staying so short that they just don't stick in your mind. We see so many animals. But having some sort of identification or noticeable feature helps with that if they don't have a microchip.
Right. Well, if you have repeat offenders, you might want to require them to chip it before you give it back or something.
Well, I know it was brought up with this specific dog in general about leash law, and I'm not even sure the leash law ticket ever got written for that dog. I'm not sure how that's been working, honestly.
And it's hard. I don't really like, I like the leash law for its intent, but for practical purposes, a lot of people's pets will get out and then we round them up. You know what I mean? So you don't want to go around and say, okay, you can never, if your pet's smarter than you, and both of mine are, they can escape anything I put them in, even in my house. One can open any door you give her. That, don't want to punish people for, trying to be responsible pet parents and they still, their pets are too wily and determined. But at the same time, you also don't want to, you do want to enforce people who just let their dogs run wild or the, animals run wild and terrorize kids or whatever they do. Like, I understand why they're in place.
I was trying to look over this too. Is there anything in this about the lawn care and such like that?
That's in the
snow
lease.
removal?
It's in the lease.
It was in the one in the 2015. So it was in that one. So but it's not, was it approached in this one also?
We put it in the lease. The MOU has the stuff about the operations and paperwork and reporting requirements to us and the citations to the code. And the lease it's like a regular lease you would have, with a business for your, business.
There's two separate ones.
Yeah, they're two separate documents. One is the lease, one is the MOU.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. Because
That's
the
a
last
separate
one
document.
was in the last one, it was promoted in both.
I know, we're
exactly.
trying to make it more streamlined, but
All
anyway, we're not prepared to discuss all of that today. We want you to take it to your board and discuss it and then come back to us let us know what you think.
So that is one thing that you're definitely changing that was in the the one that the community is no longer going to be the person in charge of the grass and such. Because it was said that you all were in charge last time, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
followed
and
through.
that's our view, because if you, like, if I rent a house, they have to mow the grass. But again, I said it's not in stone, but you guys will have to talk to your board and review that stuff and then come back to us and let us know. Was there anything else you wanted to raise with us today?
We both agreed about the dog and kennel fund. We both need to research it more because it's both new to both of us, correct? And
There was an issue raised recently about the barn and housing livestock. Now, from my understanding, it was previously said in another meeting that we don't house livestock, correct?
You don't, and we addressed that in the MOU, what we think should happen. So you guys just need to discuss that with the board and decide, but we definitely, whether you house it or not, whoever runs the shelter needs to have provisions in place or have MOUs or agreements with whoever is going to do it, like it has to be done.
Okay. Yeah, I
So,
thought that was addressed before that.
well, apparently Commissioner Brenneman, no, and Commissioner Brenneman, you know, was kind enough at the time to say you could bring them to me for now, but that wasn't supposed to be a permanent solution. So that's something that, you know, your board's gonna need to discuss, like, because this is, you know, animal control is not in charge of, you know, maintaining animals either. We have to, like, I used to be a prosecutor of Washington State, and we had this huge horse case. There were a bunch of horses that weren't being fed and everything, and there was a bull, and I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. Now I know more than I would like to. But the way the shelter out there did it is that they did have arrangements with local farms or whatever, that if you get this certain type of animal, that they report it, and then for, you know, then the county would reimburse, whether it's through the shelter. I don't know how their setup was, but I know the county was paying to house all these animals because they were part of a criminal case. But anyway, that we need something streamlined. We need those arrangements in place. So then there's no question, you know, if we get those kind of animals that will go there, it's not an issue. So, you know, that's the thinking behind that, is that, you know, we just need to, but we're not the animal experts. Like we turn to you guys to help us figure out what to do. Now, he's an animal expert and we have dogs.
well, I think part of our problem was too, like I said, even the things that were addressed in that on the 2015 local maintenance. You know, we have not had grass mowed. We have not had snow removal.
Right, and we haven't gotten the dog and kennel money for over almost a
Well, like
year.
I said,
So
we just
found
found
that
out.
out.
Any of the paperwork
Well,
we're supposed to get.
I
every
know,
month.
there's
But
a,
we just
there's a
found out
lot
yesterday.
that's not streamlined, and you guys are new to it, and so we're trying, and we're all fairly new. Like, he's been here the longest and he hasn't been here 6 years yet, so
Okay, that's
so
what we're trying to
we're all
figure
new.
out.
So we're trying to figure it out so we can get all these things that keep coming up, you know, these themes that keep coming up addressed. There are going to be things that we haven't thought of that you guys know about, you know, that aren't in there. So you're going to need to bring that stuff to our attention. So that, you know, we're trying to get this fixed so it's a smooth running machine and not, you know, where we don't have, you know, finger pointing and that kind of thing. Yes, ma'am, Kathy. Oh, is she, she's unmuting you, sorry. Is she unmuted?
Yep.
Kathy?
Hey, thank you.
Hey.
No, I just wanted to say something. I haven't seen the document that I'm assuming Anthony has put together as far as a new MOU and lease. Is that correct? Is that what his office has put together and that you're presenting to Brooke today?
No, he didn't put it together. It was a collaboration between the commissioners, the animal control officers, the sheriff, and we have an external counsel that we use for certain things, and we use, it's Bailey and Wyatt at Charleston, and they handle things that kind of require a whole lot more. Anthony oversees them, but Michael Taylor, our lawyer, is on the line, and he worked with us, the customer, to clients, to try to come up with a document that represented our concerns and the things that keep coming up, and to make sure we're complying with the code. So again, the things that are in the code are things that we can't get around at all. The other things, once you guys meet and discuss, what we've provided, you'll see the issues, with proposed solutions to those things in there. You'll just have to come back and let us know where the board stands on all that after you guys review it.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. Firstly being, who do we report maintenance issues to first off?
Those are things that we're going to hammer out, but as far as, things that with the buildings and stuff like that, to the county administrator.
Okay.
Ruth.
So
And
any
then she-
maintenance, and
yeah.
then that's divvied out to whichever maintenance.
Our maintenance staff, or if in her judgment, she thinks we need to hire somebody, she has the authority to spend up to $15,000
Okay.
without coordinating it with us.
Would
So
that constitute these other documents that this is asking to provide? At least that we would
in the lease,
send that
it
to-
does say what the commission does, and it says what the commission wants the Humane Society to do.
Right, but who would we send those documents? Would that be Ruth as well?
Every document that we ask you to send, we would send to Ruth. So if we need to put that in there, we'll just send to the county administrator for everything. Because she's the ingress and egress of all things commission. So she will make sure she delegates maintenance work for her. She reports directly to us. So she's going to be the one and she manages our budget. So if there are budget things, she's going to delegate it to the accountant we have working on our budget. So she is your point of contact for that. We did put in there too, like when you need to call out animal control, we're suggesting you do it through the non-emergency 911 number. That way they're dispatched and for safety reasons, like we know where they are and that sort of thing. So
we feel
yeah.
a lot of calls of them thinking we're animal control officers.
Actually,
ourselves.
everybody thinks we're combined.
I'm sure.
And another question was, as far as you went back to streamlining, so, and it varies by case, but it's happened twice now. We've had cases where animals have been brought to us and not all of them have been brought to us, and dogs specifically.
What do you mean?
We had a case where 3 dogs were brought to us and then people were calling from a deceased owner. People were calling after these dogs and saying, we want to adopt all 4. What do you mean all 4? We've only got 3. So apparently it was a Yorkie involved that left the scene that did not come to the shelter. And then there was recently one
Did you
as
report
well.
that back to the control officer to let them know that?
They knew.
The police officer took it home.
Oh, okay.
And another case just recently happened about that as well. What was it 2? It was 2 dogs where actually 3 dogs should have come to us.
Yeah, those are the kinds of issues that probably should be brought to my attention.
This is just so you're aware, this has been brought to the sheriff's attention, and I have been assured that this is going to be addressed with the animal control officer and the deputy that was involved. But we're just concerned because certain individuals are taking the authority to make decisions about animals they're picking up and not bringing them into our care. And then where is it the shelter employees are kind of getting it on their end from individuals, from family members, whoever. And so it makes us look bad, like we're giving animals away. And the public,
Yeah.
the majority of does not understand the separation between animal control and the Humane Society. They just view us all in one, and they just lump us as we're just giving animals away or whatever, which is not that's not the case. So but Mike
I have a
has told
suggestion.
me.
I have a suggestion, Kathy. Can you guys, anytime you have a complaint, because again, while the animal control officers do work for the sheriff, we're the ones ultimately responsible for having a shelter. So if you copied Ruth on anything you send the sheriff about complaints, then she could farm it out to the prosecutor if there's an issue, or to us if there's an issue, or usually she sends it to all of us and the prosecutor when we have something that has legal implications or something like that. So just make sure it comes to our attention too. That way it doesn't fall. We can follow up on our end with our, other elected officials and that sort of thing.
Okay.
That work, Kathy?
Absolutely.
Okay. You guys have anything else for now?
I think that pretty much covers all. I mean, like I said, our biggest complaint, our biggest problem is just we have a full shelter now. And, we keep saying no owner surrenders. But instead of saying owner surrenders, we'll say it's abuse or something of that sort.
Actually, we haven't had very many seizure cases honestly lately. And there was one brought
Not
in
lately.
yesterday that was supposed to be a seizure case, but it's actually marked as owner surrender. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't know. I asked Ridley, I called Ridley and asked about it yesterday, and he said it was possibly going to be prosecuted. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, after we convene the meeting, you can speak with the prosecutor about it.
I just
Let him
We don't
know
know how
what's
to
going on. He can.
handle the animal until we know exactly what the case is going to be.
We need more information and the paperwork's not. laying
About
out.
whether to try to find rescue or home or whatever for it.
Well,
That
they-
and just how to care for the animal, because they looked in pretty poor shape from the one that I saw yesterday.
And no deputy's been out to document the
I'm not
condition.
sure. I have no idea.
We've never had a deputy. come out to document.
Okay, well, it sounds to me like you need to talk to the prosecutor when we can, and he's here,
And
so,
like I said, we're all learning this, so I mean,
Yeah,
we're-
no,
so we're trying to
exactly,
find a
and,
Middle ground,
you know,
you know.
same. Colleagues, do you have any
I'm good.
questions or concerns? Okay, so I think that's it for today. So if you could get us some feedback by or before the 7th, we'd appreciate it, because we have a meeting on the 8th, so we'll put it back on. And looks like we only have a couple more agenda items, so do you have time to talk to them now, or do you want them to schedule something? Okay. Okay. I don't think we need you in here. Hallelujah.
I didn't say that.
I love that I don't have to be affected by that any. All right, so we're gonna move on to our couple other items we have, and we'll be done in just a second.
Yeah. I'll research into it.
Once
See what it is. It says keep an eye
So,
out if
letter to the municipalities about the fees and the percentage of animals
We
we
gave
have
you a draft. I feel like you might want to
review it.
edit that.
Why
Because I
don't-
feel like that was sent in the past, but it didn't get anywhere.
You mean this one that went to Mayor Gross when he was
Yes.
mayor of Golly Bridge?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Why don't I, we, especially me for my pickiness, and can you guys send a soft copy of this to Michael?
I will see if I can find one. I don't think.
If not,
I
scan it and
did
send
Yeah, we can make it work.
Yeah, so, let's put that on for the next reasonable meeting. We have that PSD meeting, so I don't know that we need to stack page with a bunch of stuff. We've got too much going on that
Yeah,
day.
and I have, when we discussed the agenda, there's several things about that, so.
Then are we gonna need to move stuff? Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. So,
Okay. Here's your.
but, well, for the public's information, the code allows the commission to, I mean, we had some numbers from the Humane Society that we had a large number of animals from one specific municipality, and the municipalities aren't contributing at all to the animal shelter. So the letter that we're discussing and considering sending is to ask for financial reimbursement or to bill them based on the number of animals we get. But we're going to take that up at another meeting. So we up number 7.
Yeah, so this is, Mike Callahan talked about the attorney fees for the code enforcement where Judge Blake.
Yep.
Anthony was supposed to review it,
Mhm.
but it just went out. So-
Oh, see, I thought we didn't even need that anymore.
No, this is where it was like the $30-some thousand Judge Blake awarded.
loaded or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and he lowered it
Yeah.
to a certain amount. Y'all just have to agree to it and Gia can cut the check.
It was $33,400 and some dollars.
Yeah, but he's leaving a balance in
And
there.
they're gonna
Yeah, he
leave
was gonna leave a small
3,400 and some dollars in there and only
Yeah.
take 30,000.
3,255. I do not have a problem with this at all. He explained it to us in detail. I didn't really think Anthony needs to do it. Okay, so I move that we approve the reimbursement of attorney's fees for Mike Callahan for the work he's doing on the
Second.
mine reclamation stuff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Where do we have to sign? I see a sign on a page that doesn't have a
I think it's the
signature.
next
line.
page.
That sign here might have been, y'all just have to approve it. It's basically an invoice.
Okay, we approved it.
All right, and then the last thing is that this is a support letter from, so Eddie did a support letter. It's basically saying that he agrees to let Jamie help with this project in terms of maps. Is that what it was, Tom?
About putting together routes for bikes and connections for a grant for the development of trails.
Right, so Bill said there needs to be a letter from the commission as well. He has not submitted a letter, and I'm wondering, does the commission need to say the same thing or a separate?
I thought he
support?
sent a letter the first time he emailed it.
What he did, send out.
Let me see here.
And it's not a financial match, it's just a letter of support.
A support letter from the
right?
commission.
The financial match basically is coming from Jamie.
Right, right. It's just a support letter from the commission. That was the first one he sent us, or I forwarded it to you.
And then that last thing in there is for y'all to look at the agenda. Allison, while we're looking at this.
Okay.
Because I know it needs to read.
All right, so for the 8th. We need to figure out that trial that the Cyphers referenced is one that Brian Parsons is prosecuting. So it is possible that he is not going to be able to.
He said he would send another.
He's got somebody.
He's got somebody backup? Okay.
And he's just presenting that. I don't think it's a public hearing. If you guys approve the annexation, then we'll have to publish for a public hearing and hold a public hearing later. But you guys have to approve the application and like the initial application and approve for it to be posted as a public hearing. So it's not a public hearing.
Why wouldn't the public have the opportunity to comment before we approve an annexation though? It seems to me like that's also, of course, that's another Anthony thing.
Now, what were we I'm sorry, I was trying to look this up.
Annexation, like the timing of a public hearing is what we were discussing, whether we had to have a public hearing.
I think the city has to do that, and then it comes to the county. I think-
Maybe that's what it
I think
is.
that's what it is. The city has to do it. And then from what I
I think they have to
Then-
get the permission of the landowners.
then it has to go to the.
Landowners involved.
What'd you say?
I think that before they can bring it to you guys, they have to have the approval of all the landowners, if there are other landowners.
Yeah, I think that's what Ruth was, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. Isn't that what happened in the
The
mountain? Home plan?
municipality.
Yeah.
And then we had to send it back.
Yeah.
Okay. So that we have to have then. I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a second meeting for Denise New Haven, Paige Kincaid and White Oak, a separate meeting. Because we've got a lot going on with those guys. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially if
What do you think?
lawyers,
Same?
I mean.
Yeah.
Allison.
They get to
We all
talk.
talk too much.
Yeah, they get to talk and we'll be here all day, but back to lunch and a
You know,
dinner.
I just conferred with Ruth earlier that West Virginia American Water still is not made good on their debt to not only us, but to also to Paige Kincaid PSD. So I talked to my contact and told them that until we have confirmation this is being done, that I will talk to you guys about it and see it, but until we get confirmation that they're going to get good on their debt, that we probably shouldn't have another meeting until, my own personal thing, until they've made good on that debt. Because they've had since last November and it's still not taken care of.
You know, John, while I agree with what you're saying, I think there's a process of finding out who owed the debt, what debt was accepted or assumed, whatever that word is.
Assumed.
Assumed within this process, and then who the debt is actually, who's responsible for the debt. I think that may be a process of Anthony finding that out. I mean, I may be wrong, but I
At
mean,
least figure out who's accountable for
who's
what.
accountable for it and whether it was disclosed and who, what they did accept and what they didn't accept.
Yeah.
We're talking about Paige Kincaid, right?
Yeah.
Should we leave Paige Kincaid on since we'll have those players here and then move Denise, New Haven and White Oak to a special meeting that we set?
Well,
now,
Paige Kincaid's already taken care of. It's just their West Virginia American Water's financial obligations
Maybe bring them in.
from the PSC that they have not completed yet.
See, I'm just curious about how if I get a list of debt and that debt is not listed in there, sent over, how can I be responsible for it if the process was, I'm just trying to find out whether it was there or not, whether it was correctly done. Make somebody responsible for something that they didn't accept or wasn't shown in the disclosure.
I feel like the 8th is the day to do that because they are all gonna be here.
That's fine.
So we might as well ask the questions, like if we're talking about what you're gonna do with these PSDs, why don't you update us on what you've done with this one? You know, and then we can move Denise, New Haven and White Oak to a special meeting date. And then have them brief us on a different day. So you guys have your calendars. We probably need to pick. Do we have any like emergency issues with New Haven, Denise or White Oak, or can we?
With White Oak, we do because of the
Flooding down there.
well, the overflow going into the creek, which is heading into the national
Or they
river.
ask for funding.
And they will take any amounts that we can assist them with, and then they'll work on the rest.
So what do you guys, so we have a meeting on the 29th. We have 2 weeks without a meeting, the 14th. Well, if we were looking at Wednesdays, the 15th and 22nd. What do you guys think? And I don't care if it's a Wednesday, but those are just the weeks.
Of course, it wouldn't depend on when my gig ready meetings start.
You know what we could do? We have that announcement on the 16th that we're all going to over across the river. That's at 11.
June 16th.
Yeah, why don't we meet on 8 on the 16th, and then we can just head over there. from
8
there.
a.m.
Yeah, because, well, that will give us enough time in case, since there are 3 PSDs. And then we can get over there by 11. Does that work?
Yeah, in other words, we'll have
Yeah, have a commission meeting that morning, and we'll keep it organized. And then we'll just, between 8 and 10:30, we'll schedule it, and that'll give us enough time to get a break, get over there.
that was on the 16th, right?
Yeah,
that'll
does
be
that
fine.
work for you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's set New Haven, White Oak and Denise. 8 a.m.
Are you putting it in?
Yep. Be sure to let Region 4 know, please.
I need to check my calendar to Ruth and make sure I've got everything down. My gosh, I've got.
And you're keeping Paige Kincaid on that day, on the 8th.
Yeah, we'll keep a Paige Kincaid on the 8th.
What
So just
about-
divide them up because we need to be out of here by 10:30. So really we should schedule them all between 8 and 10.
About Armstrong and Valley River.
They will be on the 8th,
They're
right?
gonna be
saying-
Armstrong and all falls in Valley River. on the
Right,
8th.
all on the 8th.
With HBK.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Might want to let Paige Kincaid know to bring its lawyer, whoever can represent it, let them know that we want to get an update from West Virginia American Water. And if you want to call Luke there and just let them know we want to discuss that too
Okay.
when they're here. Okay, so otherwise, we know that we're going to be, is this the day that we want to make the decision on the Humane Society issue? Do we want to put that on the 27th agenda?
I mean, are they gonna come back us on the 7th, like you asked them, I wonder, or before the 7th? Cause I
Well,
thought they talked about even.
let's put it on there, and then if we feel like it's premature, we can move it.
Yeah, that'd be fast.
Okay, so just put Humane Society MOU and lease.
And as far as this letter here, I think, can we anyway write one from the commission also
We
in
have
support?
one from John Tuggle, I think is who it was from, the one that was attached to this thing. We could just model that.
Yeah, can you do that?
Mhm.
Okay, and just put that on the agenda for the 8th so we can get it knocked out.
Quickly.
That's the number 8 today.
For number 8, yeah. And then down at the bottom is the other items that will be on that day.
I see, and we did get a letter from Solid Waste Authority saying we need to reappoint someone. Appoint someone.
Solid Waste Authority also has an engineering company working on, through a grant, to evaluate some other ways of disposing garbage, other than the garbage being coming to your home through collection centers.
Okay. Good. So. Okay, we have an admin meeting before this meeting. Don't we don't have to, I don't think we need to have a second admin meeting on PSDs before the PSD meetings.
Yeah, we have one on the 6th.
Yeah, so,
No, we're gonna move it.
well, we are,
The 6th, yeah, because Gary starts the 1st.
well, we moved it to the 2nd. Remember? You have it in there for the 2nd.
Why,
Does he even have our calendar?
I do not, see, this is something that's, if it changed.
Oh, I don't have it in mine either.
Evidently, if it changed, I
What's
did not
that for
change it.
meeting
I'm
on
glad
Saturday?
somebody else didn't change it.
I didn't change it either. We had talked about, and I didn't move it in my calendar, but we had talked, because Gary starts on the 1st, remember, on June 1st? And we
Mhm.
talked about having our admin meeting on the 2nd, so we could, welcome him and
Mhm.
kind of articulate our expectations personnel wise.
So now we're doing, okay, now, let me see.
On the 2nd was when we had talked about doing it. Does that still work for everybody?
Okay, I got it, what, in the morning,
We scheduled it,
see, there's a URA meeting at 3:00.
so why don't we schedule it like at one?
At one.
Well,
You see what I'm saying, is it? And I
Yeah.
think this is one of the meetings I think all three of us need to be at.
Yeah.
and it's gonna go long because Jeff he lined up the 3rd contractor to come in at 5, so it's gonna start at 3. Another presentation gonna happen at 5. We're gonna be held hostage.
Yeah. So,
You wanna meet at noon?
I mean, we can do noon.
I have no
It's
idea.
gonna be
Just-
tough for me on the 2nd.
and
but I
then we
mean, I-
What date are we talking?
Remember, we'll bring a
Second.
brown bag that with us that day.
Yeah, we just need to eat before we come or bring food with us or
You
something.
can't find peanut butter though.
I'll bring that.
Bring some hot dogs.
I'm gonna have to, because it's the second. So are we doing noon or?
Yeah, noon, then that'll give us from noon until 3 and we can take a break
I feel
because
sorry for my staff.
I feel sorry for us. We're gonna be in meetings all day.
Okay.
So I want to back up
So
one
now-
second to make
Mhm.
sure.
I need to delete the 6th, sorry, John, right?
Right. You don't even have to delete it. You knew you could go in there and just change the date.
Oh, okay, oh, yeah, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah. And then change the
Sorry,
time
John.
and then you push on the time. I do a remedial iPhone lesson in 1 minute.
That's
Google
cool.
it, it'll tell you everything.
Cool.
West Virginia America will have them here at 10 o'clock on the 8th.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell them to be prepared to discuss not only their issues, but our issues too.
Yeah. and
So we'll
Paige
drop
Kin- Paige Kincaid, just tell them Paige Kincaid is gonna come up as
Okay.
well, not just those
All
three.
right, cool.
Just warn them so they're prepared to discuss it. We want to know the status of the sewer, takeover, of their takeover of that, because, that is going to be relevant to our discussion about if they're talking about them taking over these other PSDs.
Yep.
If there are any hiccups with what they've done with the one they already took.
Okay.
All right, so. And we're moving this other one to the 8th, right? The
Mhm.
number 8.
Yeah, I think it's what.
We'll have a couple, like, there's a new lease for the new tower site. They'll have to go on there.
I move that we postpone item 8 to the June 8th agenda.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Same thing, we didn't make a motion, but for item 3, I move that we don't have a date though, for the municipalities based on the percentage of animals, that letter.
No, and I don't think you're gonna have that, be ready for that in the 8th.
Let's put it on the 27th,
Municipality,
the late meeting. So I move that we postpone the letter to the municipalities. Actually, the 27th would be a better day, because we'll have more information about what the Humane Society wants to do.
Is it the 29th?
Second.
It's the
29th.
A second.
That's the municipality letter.
6/29. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And what was the one we postponed? Amy was going, Abby's letter, did
It's
we
already
get the changes? Are you ready?
changed it, yeah. It does not have to be on running.
Let's see. So it says,
And if you don't like it, Amy. you can
at the
cancel
special
it.
meeting of today, it says in the amount of $300,000, we will provide the required. Why is this an incomplete sentence?
And why does it still say resolution?
Well, resolution, we found out is what it's required. She said that, you didn't
Oh,
hear, but she
okay.
said that over the line that it had to be. I mean, I'm surprised I heard her. My hearing's so bad right now. But it starts out in the amount of $300,000 and Fayette County, like it doesn't even say,
No.
like that's, Amy,
She's got the word doc.
did we fix that into a sentence?
Can I just,
Can we take a short break?
Yep. Let's take a, let's take a 10-minute break.
Thank you.
Tom had that look in his eyes like,
I tell you what.
I don't know the look very well. I just
Yeah,
kind of, I
you'll
look
learn it.
away. When he looks at me, I look away. Okay,
make a motion
will
to
you
adjourn.
note the time when you motion to adjourn?
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
11:03.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So see, Tom, you could have waited 2 seconds.